One dog. United we stand, oh, divided we fall. Unity is strength, oh. United we stand, oh. United we stand, oh, divided we fall. Unity is strength, oh. United we stand, oh. Oh.
United we stand, oh, divided we fall. Unity is strength, oh. United we stand, oh. United we stand, oh, divided we fall. Unity is strength, oh. United we stand, oh.
My dear brothers, let's come together. Two cannot walk unless they agree. My dear brothers, let's come together. Peace cannot reign unless there is love. Oh, my dear sisters, let us stand united. Hold hands together, help one another. United we stand, divided we all shall fall.
I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. I'm coming to dance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Chat Night Africa. Chat Night Africa, where the world meets Africa. Chat Night Africa, Africa in miniature. Chat Night Africa, for Africans only? No, not for Africans only. This is Chat Night Africa from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. On Chat Night Africa today, Transmission Director Mumbalingwa, Social Media Director and Head of our editing department, Video Editing Department, Sir Roger Fool. This is Chat Night Africa Studio Director Beatrice Famunen. Production assistants Emmanuel Wayindi, John Tanto, and Locke Benson at Foncha Street, Bamenda. Special assistant to the presenter of Chat Night Africa, Daniel Eno. This is Chat Night Africa, the power of Chat Night Africa. Chat Night Africa live from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Chat Night Africa is compiled and presented by Divine and Chamukong. Production advisor Dr. B. Tatzong Famundam. This is Chat Night. On Chat Night Africa today, we have a special guest, Christine Quine. This is Chat Night, the power of Chat Night Africa.
I'm ready. I'm coming back.
I'm Christine Coyne.
Chat Night Africa is compiled and presented by Divine Chamakung. One more time, again. Always you will. All right, let's go. Oniva. Hello, once again. Welcome to this week's edition of Chat Night Africa. When I was growing up in Africa, I hated going to the farm. Each time my parents scheduled a trip to the farm hours before time, I would complain of headache, runny stomach, or even stomach ache. Truth is, I wasn't sick. I cooked up reasons to stay home. Sounds familiar? In hindsight, we dismiss such creative ways of avoiding task as juvenile behavior. How many Mondays have been and gone since you said you will start next week? Where would you be today had you not avoided certain tasks, coming up with convenient reasons to not engage? Listen, you are not abnormal. Making excuses. Nick Vujicic, a pastor and motivational speaker, was born without arms or legs. As an adult, Nick plays soccer, swims, drives, and even plays golf. If a man without legs or arms can dream big, do things big, why can't you? Amy Brooks was born without arms and legs, yet she can do just about anything. And I mean, literally speaking, anything. What this woman does can give you goosebumps. Ladies and gentlemen, with me this week to discuss no excuses, making excuses, the power of your tongue, is Christine Coyne. Join me in welcoming Christine Coyne to the platform. Ladies and gentlemen, with me on the platform is Christine Coyne, as you can see. Welcome to Chat Night Africa for the first time, Christine. And Christine will be making her preliminary statements. Hello, Christine. Welcome to Chat Night Africa.
Thank you, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for accepting to come on the platform. You've heard about Nick Vujicic. You've heard about Amy Brooks. These are individuals, human beings born without arms, without legs. Yet they can do things which you and I, so many people cannot do, and do it excellently. Mm-hmm. The first question I have for you this evening, or today on the show, Christine Coyne, is what's the difference between those people, those individuals and us. But before you answer the question, who is Christine Quine? There are people discovering you on the platform at Chat Night Africa for the very first time.
Who am I?
Who are you?
Well, I'll say I'm from Cameroon. And how many minutes do I have to answer that? Because I could talk all night about who am I.
Keep going.
Okay. Well, I'm from Cameroon, and I'm the 5th daughter of late Senator Bertrand Francis Quine and Josephine Nguti Quine. And they had 7 kids, and today we're 6. We lost our 3rd sister, Anne Quine Sang, who everybody knows her in Cameroon. She was a renowned journalist and an advocate for women and for communication. And she worked at the United Nations before she died. Now, I am in America today. I work for an agency as director of training, risk manager. I have like 4 roles: incident manager, coordinator. But before I got to where I'm working, I used to work for about 13 years at a mental health company, and I ran as the director of quality improvement, and also I was the director of the program director. For 29 years now, I've been a therapeutic counselor. My background is microbiology. I have that in my bachelor, immunology in my master's, some certifications. Just like anybody else, we pick up certifications and diplomas staying here in America. So I have a whole vast of all that in IT, project management, database administrator, you name it. But who I am is really a woman whose passion is to impact lives and change lives with a particular love for the woman. I have a humble empire I'm trying to build, and there are 5 pillars in it, but one of my pillars are, the empire is Majestic Inc., and one of the pillars is Majestic Touch Ministry. And through that, I do counseling, I do conference speaking, I do motivational speaking, I do teaching, exhortation, name it. My passion also is to work for God. I don't know if there's anything else you need to know about me. It's just a little bit too much.
There's so much. If we were doing an interview on Christine, what you do in a community, I think we'll be here all night. But today you are my guest because we thought we should discuss making excuses. Christine, sometimes my questions are razor edge sharp. Why do you believe that the topic, making excuses, no excuses, the power of your tongue, is relevant to anyone, enough relevant to anyone's life for him or her to sit watching you, listening to you at Chat Night Africa today? Okay.
Well, Divine, could you permit me to just read a couple of statements made on excuses?
Please go ahead.
Okay. It's just very, very short. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything. And that was by Benjamin Franklin. 99% of failures come from people who have a habit of making excuses. And that was from George Washington Carver. If it is important to you, you will find a way. If not, you will find an excuse. That was made up. And the last one is, when I lost all my excuses, I found my results. Now, that in itself tells me that excuses is a topic, or making excuses is a topic that we really should talk about. Why? First, we have to even figure out what are excuses. Psychologically, the definition of excuses are the rationalization we make to ourselves to justify or to give a reason why we think or we defend a behavior that we have done, or a decision that we have made, just to postpone us making a decision, and just to also as a means of us running away from our responsibility. Now, that is the definition of excuses. It doesn't take away the fact that everybody makes excuses. We're in a world where it's hard not to make excuses, because there are some excuses that are true. If the reasons are true, then it is not well, I don't like using the word bad or good, but there are some excuses that you can't run away from. But my concern, Divine, is if you are living a life where you find yourself explaining away a situation why you couldn't, or you shouldn't, or you wouldn't, then or you couldn't, then there is a subtle signal that you are living a life of making excuses. And making excuses is very damning. It has many multiple sides. But at the end of the day, if you live a life of making excuses, you do not live your life to the highest potential. There are challenges, there are reasons why, and I think if possible, we shall look at some of them, why we make excuses. But today, I'm hoping that at the end, we will see how to stop making excuses.
Christine Quine. Christine, tell me, what drives people down the path of making excuses? You can see that we all do that anyway. So what drives people down that path?
There are many folds, but I'll tell you what the number one reason why people make excuses, or why they go down that path. They have to justify bad habits, bad decisions. And so they make excuses to make themselves feel better. What you say, I'll be able to sleep at night. They also make excuses if it's something that had to do with another person, to mitigate the response of that person. So they keep a relationship. So they say, okay, they make a reason. So those are the two reasons that people make excuses. But the bottom line is excuses. And when I'm talking about excuses, I'm talking about somebody who makes excuses over and over and over as a habit. Excuses, when that happens, you see that the reasons behind is that there's a big fear that is in our lives. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of change, fear of even competing with the other, fear of embarrassment. And because of that, it's easy for me to just make an excuse instead of me show that I am going through that, or I'm embarrassed that I don't have the confidence that you think that I have. So I'd rather say, oh, I can't do it, or or even make an excuse to myself that I can't do something.
This is Chat Night Africa. Christine, I'm talking to you, and if I'm saying something which you deem as excuses, making excuses, isn't what you perceive as excuses having to do with the ears or the eyes of the beholder? You perceive it as excuses. I don't think I'm making excuses. How do you rightly quantify or qualify the statements of somebody as making excuses without going wrong in your assessment?
Well, first of all, we need to, and that's why people make excuses too, because we're always in the place of judging. Today, I want us to look at truly you making excuses and you knowing yourself that you're making excuses. If you're making excuses to people, what will happen is people will not have confidence in you. They will not trust you. You will lose relationships. And so, yes, that will affect the outside. But I think we should look about us making excuses to ourselves, because that's where we have the biggest impact, where we stand in a place where we are looking, we are blaming, we are, in psychology, they call it the line of control, lock. So if you are doing internal lock, you are the place where you will go forward, you will make mistakes, but you will internalize them and look at what are the things I can learn from that mistake that I made or the challenge that I've gone through, and then you go further and you're able to fulfill whatever your goal is. But if you are, as many people are, at the place where the lock is external, it means every time I get to a challenge, I make excuses, I run away, but I throw it outside to the external. I look for somebody, for something, for some principle, and I say, that's the reason. Now, when we're doing the blame game, the blame game means we're going to be looking behind. Oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be because I'm Black and I'm in a place where they're all white. Oh, I'm a woman and I can't go forward. Oh, I suffer from racism. So there are things that, those are external things where you put it away out of you. And I think that when we are doing that with such excuses, we never will fulfill our goals. We will never live out the purposes of God in our lives because we're stuck in all the things we have not faced, all the fears through our excuses.
You are watching this beautiful, dead drop, gorgeous woman, Christine Quine, and I can appreciate you enough for not making excuses when I invited you to come to Chat Night Africa. Lots of people look for all kinds of excuses. Mm-hmm. I started this by referencing two individuals, one a woman, one a man. I'm thinking and talking about Nick Vujicic, who is a pastor and motivational speaker who was born without arms, without legs. But what this guy does is incredible. It's mind-blasting. He swims, he drives, he does everything. He goes places, he's teaching, people are crying. He doesn't understand why people should be looking at him with sympathy. Now, I also cited the case of Amy Brooks, a woman born without arms, born without legs. She does all kinds of stuff. She can even change the lens of her video camera. Not to talk of it, do her makeup, and she does just about everything. What is the difference between such individuals and us? We are able-bodied, and yet we're coming up with why this didn't happen, why we couldn't do this, why somebody invited you, said yes, and then later on you didn't show up, why you went to borrow money from a Christian brother or sister in the church, and they didn't want to lend you the money, and they said, let me go pray about it. So what's the difference between these two individuals without legs and arms and us, able-bodied and complaining?
Well, I'll say that innately, it's unconsciously we can easily make excuses. But then we reach a place where we decide that, do we want to just stay in a place of making excuses, or do we want to move on? In the case of Pastor Nick, I know his story. I don't know I think I've watched. Is it the lady you talked about? Is it the African lady?
No, that's American or so, Amy Brooks.
Oh, she's American.
And before you continue answering the question, Christine, I am advising that anybody in your home using the Wi-Fi should please get off your Wi-Fi, so that you are the only, if they are listening, please, they should get off your Wi-Fi. And I'm going to give you a little space to give them that instruction before I bring you to the platform. This is Chat Night Africa, and you are watching Christine Nkwine. The topic for this evening is making excuses. The power of your tongue. Do you realize that your destiny rests in how you use your words? We are going to get into that. Thank goodness Christine did not make, again I say, did not make excuses when I invited her to come to Chat Night Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Christine back to the platform. Yes, Christine, your answer to the question I asked you. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm not too much aligned with Amy's story, but I know Pastor Nick's story. And he tells a story about him being born with no hands and no legs, nothing. And as a young boy, he grew up with a lot of pain because people mocked him. And, man is actually wicked by nature. We are all wicked by nature. And he was tortured. But he got to a place where he had decided that he was going to commit suicide. And he got to know the Lord. He got to know Jesus Christ, and he gave his life to Jesus Christ. But even though he gave his life to Jesus Christ, he talks about his walk. And his walk was that he had to now figure out how to stop making excuses that he had no hands, that he had no legs, and that the next person was even better than him. And he had to go into himself and take out the things that were keeping him from being the man that he was born to be. And so he's blessed because he was able to move away from a place of looking and feeling dreary about his own life and going to a place where he is today a motivational speaker and an inspiration to a lot of people around the world. Now, what I know is we can be Pastor Nick. We can be Amy in that we don't look at what our limitations are. When we keep our eyes on our limitations and we keep our eyes on our regrets and we keep our eyes on our failures and we keep our eyes on our grievances and all the blames we've made in life on other people, we don't go anywhere. So I think what we should do is to pull the strength that Pastor Nick's life is showing and Amy's life, and we begin to look at, are we where we're supposed to be? We know our goals. Have we even started to attain them? And if we haven't, it's really because we're really stuck in a place where we are giving excuses. In the Bible, there were many, many people who gave men and women of God give a lot of excuses, but God was able to look past that excuses, pull them out, and take them to where he wanted to take them. So we can learn from that.
If you listen to or read the story of Oprah Winfrey, Oprah, as a black woman in Baltimore, when she got into the media, somehow the media managers thought because she was black, she couldn't be the news anchor. They put her in a place where they thought it was like putting her in a refrigerator in the fridge. or frustrate her. And there, wow, she discovered the gold mine. Is it wrong to complain about? What's wrong to complain or wrong in complaining about situations that are not in your favor? I
Nothing is
mean,
wrong.
what's wrong with that?
No, I believe that we should. We
That would
should
sound to some other
complain.
people like making excuses.
No, this is where I'm going. We should
Okay.
complain, because for you to progress, you must look at what's not working. So yes, we should complain if there's something that needs to be fixed. My thing is, we can't just sit and complain and complain and complain our whole lives, and then we turn around and we're in our 60s. So Oprah, I bet you Oprah as a younger child, she had her own fears, she had her own insecurities, but she was able to face them and say, you know what? Yes, I'm a Black woman, and maybe the America says I can't go ahead, but I will go ahead. So she made that decision, and she was able to do all the things that she needed to do to get educated, to get informed. She forgave herself, forgave her mistakes. She balled through everything, and that's where I'm sure that's why today she's successful. So we should. I don't believe that people should keep. If they're frustrated about something, they should say something. I believe that the excuses part is when you were just saying an excuse to either be lazy, an excuse to just run away, an excuse to hide behind what you really, really want to say, but you're not saying that. That's the problem when it affects your progress.
You are watching Chat Night Africa with Christine Quine as my guest on this edition. Can we really live without making excuses? I mean, we all make excuses, Christine, don't we?
Oh, yeah. You get up in the morning and it's cold outside, and you say, oh my God, it's cold outside. The weather is really cold. I don't want to go to work. That's an excuse. Is it a good reason, a legitimate reason? Maybe it's not that cold, you can go. So there's a part where you just want to be lazy. But we make excuses. Everybody, if somebody says, I've never made an excuse in my life, that's not true, because we make excuses every day. But what we should stop doing is making those bad excuses that keep us in a place where it doesn't take us forward. That's what we need to stop doing. But people cannot, I mean, I hope, Divine, that by the end of this year, end of this session, we will all begin to say, okay, let me reduce, maybe every week, I reduce my excuses that I make by one. I reduce it for the next 12 months, so that we reduce the excuses we make. But we're gonna make excuses, unfortunately.
Is making excuses always a bad thing?
No, depending what the circumstances are.
In what circumstances would making excuses be a good thing, a beneficial thing? For example,
okay. I would say I don't call it a good excuse. I'll call it a working excuse, or I don't know, but I won't call it a good excuse, because what is good about an excuse? But here, let me give you an example. If you have two things that will work, number one, it's coming from a truth. What you had the intention to do, what you ended up not doing, but something altered you doing it. And in addition, you whatever excuse you give will cause the person who you disappointed or you affected to forgive you. That is a good excuse. You work, say in DC, on M Street, and you take the metro. Every day you leave your house 45 minutes ahead, so that you make sure you get to work on time. One particular day you get to the metro, and the trains are not working, there's a delay, and you get to work late. Now, your intention was to get to work early. It wasn't like you came out of the house late and you were running and you got to work late. That's a bad excuse. You were set to do something right. An external, for whatever an external reason made you not do it, you are able now to apologize, say to your boss, and explain that you got to the metro was shut down, there were no trains running, and so you got to work late. In that situation, the boss will most probably forgive you because it's not really your fault. So that's a good excuse.
When I ask you to say who you are, I was taking you down a certain path. And when you mentioned you being a boss, a director, are there times that people who work for you, when they call you and tell you stories why they can't show up for work, you are dismissive of those things, that they're just making excuses? How do you know they're not telling the truth?
Yeah, well, I don't deal directly with that, but I deal indirectly with that. And in your question, if the person has a pattern of one excuse after the other, then that's an issue. But if it's every now and then, and the excuse the person gives is authentic, it's allowed. But you as a boss, you know when you look at the person's records and see if every week is there a story that they give, and then you can use that to maybe talk with them in improving their attendance. And if they don't, then you really know that the person is a chronic excuse maker, and then you make the decision whether you want to keep the person or not. But you can know looking at patterns. And that's why I'm saying we need to break patterns if we are making excuses over and over and over again.
Christine, as you know, I've known you over a period of time, a very long time. And there have been times that you've had some family tragedies. For example, the passing away of a television star, Anne Sanquine. I just admire, she was just a queen on television. Have challenges pushed you at some point in life to make excuses? And if yes, for example, in what situations did you find yourself making excuses and in hindsight said, oh my gosh, what was I saying? What was I thinking?
Divine, I make excuses every single day, so I'm preaching to myself. Yeah. And I was telling my sister 2 days ago, I said, you know what? Sometimes you know stuff, you read it, you can preach it, but you haven't really done it. And I looked at my life and I'm like, okay, I don't make excuses a lot to other people. In other words, that I try to keep my relationship. So if I say I will do something, I will do it. I've learned how to plan in a way that I can fit what I commit to. So I keep my commitments, but I give excuses to myself over and over since I was a child. I will give the excuse of, and today that I'm talking, I'm looking and I'm saying that, oh, fear is a big deal. In the year 2008, I was working I'd been working for a company for 11 years at that time. And the CEO was leaving, and I was the next to her. And she told me, Christine, why don't you just take my position? And she said, go think about it. And I went home. I was 39, old enough to be a CEO. But I went home and the whole night I had every reason why not. Oh, well, they said that they were going to close the company and it's not going to close on my watch. I just had the fear of failure. And that fear made me not take the position. And 2 years later, the new CEO who came in, because when he was coming in, everybody told him, oh, she was supposed to be the CEO, but she couldn't, she refused the position. So there was already tension. And 2 years later, he told me, oh, Christine, we can't afford your salary. We have to let you go. And I lost my job. So that to me was nonsense, because I could have taken it, but I found the excuse not to. And many of us have lost opportunities out of fear, out of not thinking, out of staying in a place paralyzed. So hey, I'm a rooter for us stopping break. I've broken mine. I'm on a thing. No more excuses.
Christine
No
Nkwai.
more.
Christine, you and I live in the United States. If we're not talking about racism, we're talking about something else. I mean, it's not a perfect society. You and I come from Cameroon, come from Africa, where it's not necessarily racism, it's tribalism. If you ask lots of people in the United States why they haven't done this or that, they complain of racism. There are people, African Americans, who say, but we cannot be complaining about racism how many 100 years after? Do you think that if somebody is complaining of racism today or using racism to explain why certain things have not been done in their lives, that person or those persons are necessarily wrong?
They might kill me, but I'll say yes, they're wrong.
Why are they wrong?
Because it should not be a limitation. It is true that there's racism. There's racism all over the world, but there is racism in America, yes. But there are other people who have still broken through, even in the middle of racism. So it should not be a limitation. And if we pick, there are all sorts of excuses we can make. There are political excuses, cultural excuses, education excuses. I mean, every area of our life, there are excuses we can go pick out of a box. But we cannot stand in one place stagnated, talking only about the reason why we cannot go ahead. We should go above the limitations, little by little, or break the door. But we must do something. We must take action.
We must take action. I think, yes, we can. The topic tonight on this edition of Chat Night Africa is making excuses, no excuses. And before we end the program this week, we will talk on the power of that tiny thing in between your jaws, your tongue. Before we get there, how do you know, Christine, how do you replace excuses with actions? Now, the reason this question might sound mundane, but people make excuses so as to feel good, feel better where they are, doing what they are doing. So how do you replace excuses with actions when those same excuses are the same things that make you feel better where you are? How do you get to replacing the excuses with actions?
There can be no action without a decision. So number one, you have to agree and accept that. And you have to look at your life, and then you must agree that, yeah, where I am, are you happy where you are? If you're happy where you are, then That's good. But if you see that you are not where you're supposed to be, that what you had in your plan, in your ambition is not even near where you are, then you must know that there must be something that has been stopping you. And most of them are usually the excuses. You now decide that, okay, let me see how I can pluck that out. When you accept, you now have to start looking at what is making me make these excuses. And that's the hardest part, because that's when you have to look into yourself. Are you truly afraid? You know that you can go that further, but maybe you worry. You've had failures before and you're tired of having more failures. Are you worried about success? You have to look at all those things. And then you have to start beginning to stop yourself. If you see yourself about to make an excuse, maybe you don't, you give yourself some time not to say anything. You contemplate over it, you think about it, and then you twist it around. Let me give you an example. Say you're trying to lose weight to be healthy, and you get home and you say, I would like to go out, or somebody calls you for dinner, and you don't want to, you're trying to lose weight, so you really don't want to go out of what you're supposed to eat. The excuse you make would be the truth, and it's not then an excuse. You will tell the person, I am trying to stay on this regime so I can lose some weight and remain healthy. I would love to go out, but I cannot. So help me to stay on that. Now, the other person will meet you where your needs are because you're being truthful. So you have to begin to break those things. And then there's so many other things we have to do. You have to stop comparing yourself with the next person. When you compare, you're afraid. You say, oh my God, he's made it, she's made it. I don't think I can make it. And then all of a sudden you discourage. So you have to stop some habits. And the habits are these: stop comparing yourself, stop fearing the unknown. Uncertainty are one of the things that will kill us. But we are in a world today where the internet gives us everything we need. So if you don't know something, you go find what it is. So you read up the information, you go on blogs, you listen to experts, and so you will not, the part of the unknown part will be flipped out. You also stop blaming others. When you keep blaming others, it is hard to cut the habit of making excuses. Stop looking at people, events, backgrounds, cultures. Stop blaming that. Look and say, what part did I not do? What part is me and not only others? You have to take action, like we said, but take action each day. Make every day and each day. So it's not like, oh, okay, now I'm going to stop making excuses. It's not going to work. You have to say, for today, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm going to reduce making excuses. I'm going to fight making excuses. You have to set attainable goals. I want to lose weight. That's not measurable. I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. So I don't have the excuse not to, because I am seeing a goal that is measurable and that is attainable. Those are some of the things we have to do. We change our attitude. We have an attitude where it's all about us, me. I don't care. I'm not going. I don't care if they're mad. I've told them that I'm not feeling well. You know you're lying. You have to change all that little by little.
Hello, Christine. Apparently somebody's on the line, and now our phone lines are open. Welcome to Chat Night Africa. You have a question for Christian? Hello?
Hello, Kadi. Yeah, good evening. Greetings to you and Madam Christine. I thank her for the education because each and every one of us is faced with this aspect of excuses day in, day out. And I wish to just add a few things because excuses are not, they don't just come up. It is a conceptual aspect that has been building up in our minds over times, and because of that anxiety, because of that fear, we are tend to be controlled by that instinct. We are tend to be controlled by that component. And the first aspect that she's saying, how I wish to ask her this question: how do we tend to be able to free ourselves from excuses where we live in an economy, for example, like Cameroon, where everything has been pushed down?
Okay, that's all about your question. All right. Yes, Christine, you got a caller. Now, if you are in the United States, you don't have to make a WhatsApp call. Just dial the number 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. If you are in the United States, you don't have to be making a WhatsApp call. You don't have to do that. Yes, Christine, how do you react to that caller? By the way, you can pick up your phone now. You can challenge Christine. You can agree with her, or bring other perspectives to the discussion. This is Chat Night Africa. Christine.
Yes, it's very challenging when your enemy is huge, and he's talking about the economy. But I know that some Americans can see the same thing. So it's not really about whether it's Cameroon or it's America or it's Australia. I believe that the most important thing in this equation first is take your eyes off the economy. Take your eyes off what is not encouraging you. Put your eyes back on you. Now, there is really a concept, and this is the concept. There is you. There is your passion. Your passion is the one that pulls in what will become your goals. Or now, what you see as your goals. But that passion is put in you by God for His purpose. And His will is the one that will help you attain it. But the missing link is that between you and your goal is the belief in yourself. And most of us don't believe in ourselves. And so we run to the big picture, and we run to, it's the economy, it's the politics, it's my background, it's my family, no, look at you. How do you feel about yourself? Do you believe in yourself? Because wherever you sit, whether you're in a little village or you're in a huge mansion in the city, you can change lives. So what are you doing in the economy that you're sitting in that is not the best? What are you doing for yourself and the next person? There is always something. And when you begin to not only love yourself, but when your self belief grows and you believe in yourself, there is nothing that will stop you, not even an economy. By the time you know, you'll be where you want to be, because doors will open and challenges will slide, because you will go in as a lion. So to me, number one thing, if there's nothing I've said today, is that each one of us must look at ourselves. Do we believe in ourselves? Or are we blaming what is easy for us to blame and to keep us paralyzed where we stand? That's my question tonight to everybody.
Chat Night Africa from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I'm your host, Divine Chamakong, and my guest today on the show is Christine Quine. I told you about this woman. I told you when she comes, you better pick your pens and paper and take down notes. I've been taking down notes. I have somebody on the line. Hello, this is Chat Night Africa.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Pretty good. Do you have a question for Christine, or you want to disagree with her or add to what she has said?
I want to agree with her.
Now, let me advise on something. Please turn off any other listening device around you. That way your voice will come through clearer.
I want to agree with her.
Okay, what are you agreeing about?
I'm agreeing with her. First of all, my name is Mary Apple Christie. I send you a shout. I'm so proud of you. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas, and Christie just said one thing that is so true. If you, when you have your beliefs and you put God in it, there are some excuses that are to be true, and there are some that don't make sense. And if we go to the Bible, we will see that in Nehemiah, when Nehemiah was building the wall, Sanballat and Tobias came to deviate him. You will always have detractors around you, but then God gave him the instinct to refuse to go to where they were telling him to go to. So when you put God, as Christine has said, in whatever belief you are believing, He will direct your path. So I'm just agreeing with her and telling her, thank you for that, because a lot of people make excuses for things that don't need to be excused. Just as she said, there is no economy that is good at this time. It doesn't matter whether you're in the United States. And wherever you are, what best can you do in the place that you are? Because there is something you can do. If you really look, there is always something. So I just want to thank her for bringing in that point that you have to factor God in everything that you do.
Have there been situations, madam, that you've seen people make excuses, and if yes, excuses like what?
Well, people can make excuses when you talk about, they need you somewhere to go do something. You make an excuse, well, I can't come because of this or because of that. Meanwhile, you really don't have anything doing. Or people can make excuses and like, oh, I'm too old to do this. Oh, I'm too tired to do this. Just like one excuse that she said, oh, it's cold outside. You might make an excuse that I don't want to go do no exercise. I don't want to go do any exercise because it's too cold. That's just an excuse, because if you can find another way to go do exercise, even if it's cold, if you want to.
Thank you so much for calling from Texas. That your intervention, madam, from Dallas, Texas, if I heard you well, reminds me of the Jimmy Cliff's song, "You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want. You must try, try and try, try and try." It just instantaneously came to my mind. That song, you can do it if you really want. You can get it if you really want.
That another thing that I have to add on it is that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Okay.
Because you might even want to do it, but if Christ is not in the picture, just as Christine said, you just can't do it.
Okay.
Because He is the one that strengthens you to do whatever you are doing.
Okay, thank you, madam. We're going to take another caller. Thank you so much. It was nice. We're grateful that you are a flag bearer for Chat Night Africa out there. Please speak to our friends about Chat Night Africa. All right?
All right. Thank you, sir. Christine, ciao.
Ciao, Mary.
Christine, I must.
Ready for the
Okay, we'll talk about that offline. Christine, it seems you have an army of friends out there. When I announced you as coming on Chat Night Africa, believe me, I had all of this. This is a brilliant woman. Everywhere you go, the place lights up like electric. I don't know. So I'm going to ask what is so unique about you that impresses so many people. I believe me, before I brought you on, I asked so many and listened to so many people about you, and their remarks were overwhelmingly positive. I had somebody who was trying to call. Let me see if we can reach that caller. Unfortunately, or she was calling when we had another call on the line. This is Chat Night Africa. In a moment, we will take that call. Hello, this is Chat Night Africa.
Hello, good evening, good evening to Madam Christine.
Yes, please turn off any listening device near you, if you don't mind. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. That way your voice will come through a lot clearer. Yes, go on, sir.
Yes, like I was saying when I just called with the WhatsApp, through WhatsApp, and I was saying that is an aspect that most of us grew up with, and a change in an environment will always affect us and where we grew up from. Now we coming from Africa and getting ourselves in a different community or in different society, it would always lead us to shift our mind to adapt to the situation. Now we're coming from a community where we believe in that Godfather, the connection, and you find yourself in America way or in other countries where there is no limitation, because, for example, in the USA, you have the opportunities to excel. It is love for you to be able to exercise that skills and be able to push. And there should be no limitation. Though fear will always try to counter that striving force within you, be able to move ahead. And I think I'm still coming to my question.
Yes, please ask the question, because we want to take as many callers as possible on the show.
Yeah, she said, I don't know if I didn't get her well or I got her well. She said competition sometimes push us toward excuses. What if I look forward to somebody like a mentor, and I do not actually go toward that person, and then I'm trying to model the state that person is taking to succeed, and I begin to follow those steps. It doesn't mean that I'm competing. Thank you.
No.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Hold. Okay. I'm going to take another call, then you answer all the questions at the same time. Hello, this is Chat Night Africa. And in a moment, we will be taking another caller. Then Christine will answer all the questions. I believe Christine is taking note. Yes. Hello, this is Chat Night Africa. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please. This you have a question for Christine, or you have a contribution. This is Foster Thomas. Foster, if I got the name right.
Yes,
Right. I know you said online you could not wait for Christine to come. You couldn't wait to hear from her.
Yes.
Again, if you have a listening device where you are, please turn off the listening device and speak to your phone.
Yes, you got my name right.
Okay. Yes, please go on. What's your question? Hello, Foster?
Yes, my ears are wide open to listen to her.
Yes, what's your question?
My question is, I really enjoyed the way she has spoken, and I got all her points right. Really, there shouldn't be no excuses in any way or in anything that we do. I'm just contributing. I'm not
even any question. What I'm trying to say is there shouldn't be no excuse to add on what she is saying, because if we keep giving excuses to ourselves, then we are limiting ourselves, whatever thing we are doing. So there shouldn't be no excuses in anything that we do.
Thank you so much, Foster. Christine, you can now respond to the callers.
Yes, okay. So he did say, I talked about comparing. Don't compare. No, I said that one of the reasons why we make excuses could be that out of the fear of comparing with others, we are discouraged. So we turn, we look, we say, oh my God, that one is more talented than me. Who am I to try to do what I want to do? Let me just, I'm just going to sit back. What you are doing or what you were talking about is what you need to do to overcome making excuses, which is to follow someone who can become your mentor, who has done it, who has made his own mistakes, who can tell you, don't do this, I did this and it didn't work, maybe don't. You need that. You also need to maybe build your own community of people who have done what you're interested in doing, or who are like related to whatever your goal is. So no, the encouragement is that we need to do what you're talking about. We need to find mentors. Mentors are those who have the markings of experience on their shoulders. They're the ones who will tell you, well, I started here, I am now here. These are the mistakes that I made. You will make your own mistakes. Everybody will make their own mistakes, but you are hearing an expert speak to you who's giving you a helping hand to where you are going. So I am definitely, that is one of the things you must, you're comparing is pushing you. So it cannot fall under it being a cause of you making an excuse. It's actually under one of the things that you do to overcome making excuses. So I hope you understand what I was saying.
This is Chat Night Africa. One of the excuses I've heard, or I hear a lot, Christine, is I'm too old to do this. Now, that takes us to the power of your tongue. When somebody gets into that pity party or that dispiriting statements, I'm too old to do this, could there be some truth to that? Somebody's looking at his or her circumstance and saying, you know what, this is just beyond me. I can't do it. I'm too old. I can't go to school. I'm too old to do this. Why do you have a problem with that?
Do you want me to talk about this now?
Absolutely.
And connect it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, you put me on fire because I want to talk, but I Divine, I don't talk without going to the Bible. So I'm going to use God's word. And in the Bible, everything we're experiencing in life is in the Bible. There is nothing new. And so, yes, you just talked using the example of a man saying, I'm too old. Abraham said the same excuse. When God told Abraham that he will have children, he told God, I am too old to have children. Because that is what he saw. His age, limiting. He could not visualize him holding a baby. So this person, all he's seeing is his age. And those things as excuses are our limitations. Those are the things we have to begin to get rid of in our lives. Now, the tongue, Proverbs 18:21 tells us that the power of the tongue is life and death. And whatever you eat of the fruit, it tells you which way you go. In other words, breaking it down, When you open your mouth and you speak, you either will speak life or you will speak death. You will either speak blessings or you will speak curses. You will either speak confidence or you will speak what's the opposite of confidence? Insecurities.
Insecurity,
Fear.
that's fine.
Yes. Now, God made us. He created us. Genesis tells us that he made us in his image, which means what he does, we do. We are mini him because he made us in his image. In Genesis, he said, let there be light, and there was light. He spoke life, and life came. If he made us in his image, it means we have the same ability because we are spirits. And God says his words that he gives to us are life and spirit. So whenever we speak, it is a spirit we are speaking, and it will come to pass. But I say today, twisting it into excuses, what is coming out of your mouth? You can use only excuses to come out of your mouth, or you can speak encouragement to yourself to come out of your mouth, or you can speak promotion. Let me use the example of what's his name? David. David was the youngest son of Jesse. David was the one who ended up killing Goliath. What Goliath did was just stand on the hills and shout, I give you Israelites 40 days. And if you do not come and kill me, then we shall kill, I and the Philistines shall kill all of the Israelites. It was on the 40th day that David showed up. And when David showed up, before he was to go see Goliath, his king had given him an armor to wear, and the armor was big because David was a young boy. And he could have complained and said, well, it doesn't fit, I'm not going out. He just said it doesn't fit, and he took it off. And he came and stood before Goliath. Goliath then employed his own gods. He could have just started fighting, but he spoke. And he spoke to intimidate David. And when he stopped speaking, David then began to speak. But what David spoke was what gave him victory. And he said that, who are you, this uncircumcised Philistine?
Christian.
Do you know my...
I'm going to push back right here. Before I do that, Dr. Colette Ngangte says, excuses hold us in bondage. Christian, here's a question I have for you. There are people who probably are not Christians watching this broadcast. There are people who probably it's a long time since they last touched the Bible. They will be asking you this question. What are some very practical ways that you have realized that people use their tongues to self-destroy?
When you get up in the morning and you say, I want to own a company, but I don't have the money. You will not have the money because you have spoken that. What you have spoken is what will go back into you. That's the whole point about speaking, is that when we speak, it goes somewhere. With Christians, it goes to God, and it doesn't return empty. It returns with the purpose to which the word was spoken. If you are not a Christian and you speak, it doesn't still change the fact that words are spirit. So whatever you say will happen. I am not going to make it. You will not make it. I am not going to pass the exam. You will not pass the exam. I am not going to be able to. Everybody's opening an agency. I want to open mine, but I don't. Where am I going to get the people who can work for me when I don't have money? Already, as you have spoken, Your mind has heard, your mind has grasped onto it, and so shall it be. We must begin to use our tongues not to kill. We must use our tongues to encourage ourselves. We must use our tongue to speak to our minds, because the main thing is our mind. It is our mindset that gets us the goals in which we have set. And so we must use our tongues to speak to our minds and to cater to our minds. I am wonderfully and beautifully made. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. Now, you're not a Christian. You don't have to say what you don't believe, but you can speak pretty much the same thing to yourself. I am John, and I am going to make it because I know who I am. And I will do is I will find all the information that I need. I will find mentors. I will form communities for backup. I will go extra mile. And by the time I've done all this, the money will come. You don't have to only be a Christian to speak like that. Now, I speak using the Bible because I'm a Christian and I have seen the power of God and it works. And so I will speak, but I also did psychology, so I can speak to the layman too, but I cannot not speak about God too. So, you know,
there's something, and I get what you're coming. There's something I'd like us to listen to. Now, pay attention to the wordings of this song. Okay, I'll come back to it because I'm going to cue back that song, come back to it. Now, you're talking about people using their tongues to change their situations. Somebody out there, Christine, is saying, I can wish all I want to. I can wish I had 20-story buildings. I could wish I drove a Mercedes 600, but I don't have the means. So how do you get to the point that your words become reality and just not wishful thinking?
Well, they become wishful thinking because you're staying only in the speaking. You must not only speak. First, you must believe. There is that is lacking in most of our lives. We don't believe in ourselves. So we can just say, oh, I'll make it. But you don't even believe that you'll make it, so it's not going to happen. So you must first believe in yourself. Then you speak it. But then you take the steps to make it, even if it's little steps. But you make the effort to begin. What is your dream? You visualize the end. Nobody builds a house without having sat down and looked at how they want the house to be built and what goes where. And if I put the bricks here and I put the roof there, will it fall one day? You do all that even way before you find the money. So why are we still just sitting and only wishing? I'm not talking about just wishing. Everybody, if they say if horses were wishes, we all will be riding horses. No, I'm saying that speak life. First, believe in yourself. Believe in God. Believe in who you believe in. Believe in someone bigger than you. Believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you now are able to come up with what are your goals. You write them down. What are the steps? Everything is step by step. What are the mini steps? You don't have the money, start doing the things that you don't have the money to do. But visualize what you want, because if you don't visualize, you will never get there. But you must do the action. We don't do the action, and then we say, well, it didn't happen to me, I spoke, or I wished it. That's not enough.
This is Chat Night Africa, and let's now talk about the power of your tongue, making excuses and relationship, because earlier in the program, you said making excuses have been or has been a source of some of the problems that people have in their relationships. How so?
Making relationship is a source of problems in everybody's life. So it touches every aspect of their lives. It touches their jobs, it touches their relationships, it touches their education, or whatever projects to get them to thy purpose or thy I'm sorry, I'm missing the word, but whatever or get them to thy goal. So yeah, relationships will be affected if the husband is to do something. The role of the husband says, I know the role of the husband naturally, not a must, but naturally is the provider, the protector, the professor. He talks, he speaks, and then the wife is the caretaker and the helpmeet to the man. Now, if everything that he's supposed to do is twisted with an excuse, or the woman, everything she's supposed to do is twisted with an excuse. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I would like to do this, but I can't. I mean, definitely the relationship will be affected. Father, mother, sister, brother, husband, wife, boss, worker. Relationships will be affected because excuses, what they do, even though they justify you, the person who is giving the excuse, it justifies your bad behavior. What you're doing is the other person is hearing the excuse over and over and will get sick and tired of you, will give up on you, will not trust you. The relationship will break down. So yes, it will affect relationships.
Chat Night Africa, and you can call the number 240-603-7367. Is there something about making excuses, no excuses, the power of the tongue, that you think you want to speak on before we wrap up this show?
I wanted to speak on my biblical and you stopped me.
I know
it's a very short story. It's a very short story, but it's applicable.
Sure.
And the stories in the Bible are all applicable.
Sure.
And somebody will listen who is not a Christian, but will get the message.
Okay,
All
go ahead.
All I was trying to say is David could have used all the excuses because the Israelites had all the excuses. This man, Goliath, was a giant, and only his stature was already challenging the Israelites. They were intimidated by him, not to talk of when he opened his mouth and roared. But David refused to use excuses that he was a boy, that he was not wearing the armor. All he did was speak to Goliath, and he won the victory. And he told Goliath that the God that he served, the Lord of hosts, will deliver Goliath into his hands, as he also delivered the bear and the lion into his hands. And not only will God deliver the Goliath into his hands, he will use Goliath's sword and he will chop off his head. And what he said is what happened. Because he spoke it, it came to pass. And that story is just to teach us, don't use excuses. Don't be afraid. When you speak, employ God, because he is who he is, and he has promised what he has promised, that he shall never leave or forsake us, and that he shall fight all our battles with us and for us. And that's what David did. And David intimidated Goliath by using his tongue. So psychologically, by the time David was finished with Goliath, Goliath was already dead, because he already was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? How are you going to kill me? And he only slung one stone, and that was all it took for Goliath to die. Our attitude is what takes us out of our excuses. our attitude should be like that of the lion. When the lion roars, everybody runs. But if you ask the lion, I'm sure he's even afraid of the ants. But his attitude calls for people to give him attention and to give him the respect that he's the king of the jungle. And what we have to do is to begin to love ourselves, begin to talk to ourselves, begin to look at ourselves and see who we are, and begin to walk like lions on this earth with whether economic challenges, financial challenges, education challenges. There is no challenges that should keep you back. Once you believe in yourself, the sky is the limit. As your song just said, the sky is actually not even a limit because we can go beyond it. But he did say, dream, for your sky is the limit. And yes, we should dream, we should do action, and we should walk in the action fiercely.
Chat night, the power of chat night. Christine, I'm going to end with this question. What makes Christine Quine so unique? I mean, I know you have a unique hairdo. I've not seen anybody in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area with your hairdo ever since I knew you. What makes Christine, what is unique about you that when I mentioned, at the mere mention of the name Christine Quine, everybody said, you know what, this is a woman we want to listen to. What is it that you do so that impact people's lives so much, so powerfully that they want to listen to you?
I can't take any, I say it's only the glory of God. In looking at my life, I'm regular. I just know that when you are born, there is a purpose in your life. And that purpose is God's purpose. And what he does is he will give you a passion. And when you embrace the passion, you will start beginning to see the things he wants you to do, what his plan in your life is. And who I am today is that my father, my mother, what they did was just knit us in love, in humility, in the fear of God. And the humility part keeps me humble. There is nothing extraordinary about me that is different from the next person. I just am able to find out what is my passion. My passion is to impact and change lives. I don't want to meet you and not be able to even edify you. Just say something nice. You look good. Are you tired? What do you have? That's what I have been. And it's tied to God's purpose. Because what I find myself doing today is what I believe before I was even a clot in my mother's womb. It was written. The things that I have gone through, that I'm going through, and the places that I'm to go. And everything, when I look at my life, I am able to see, why did I go to Our Lady of Lourdes for secondary school? Why did I go to Bambili for high school? Why did I go to Howard for my first degree? Why to GW for my master's? Why did I start working as a counselor? My minor was psychology, but I ended up being stuck in the psychology. My whole life is about counseling. But why do I speak? Why am I interested in talking? Because it is God's purpose, and He has put those things in me, so it is I am able to go through His plan with His will. And He now has given me the Holy Spirit that helps me. He teaches me, He reprimands me, He comforts me, He empowers me. So I have no complaint. And I believe that's who I am, and that's why I am the Christine that everybody is saying. Nothing about me, all God.
Christine, you know what I like about you the most? You're a very attractive woman, but beyond that, your heart. I have interacted with you so many times. I've watched you interact with people, and you have a humility that's, I call it infectious. People love to be around you. I wish so many people you talk with, you interact with, can see these virtues of you, and why not be Christine, because they cannot be you, but pick some of those things that make you stand out. I thank you. I have a calabash of palm wine that we're going to share this evening. I wanted to get that smile from you, and I got it. What's your last word before you go? Before we share the calabash of wine? Palm wine.
Last word.
Yes.
My last word is my philosophy. We are all keepers of each other. And we are to run our own race according to God's purpose in our lives. But even as we run our races, we are to run in our lanes, yes, in individual lanes. But even as we run in our individual lanes, when another person is in despair or another person is weary, we should give a helping hand or an encouraging word. We should keep each other, because the world is a huge community. The men and the women, the fights that we fight, very unnecessary. We are to mutually respect each other. The men are to be kind and loving to the women. The women are to be kind and respectful to the men. Parents and children, we are to take care of each other, and we have to be pillars for each other. But most importantly, let us begin to love ourselves. Let us know ourselves. Let us go into ourselves and ask God, what is in us that is not of Him? Take it out. Take away fears. He has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and a sound mind. We are supposed to be, we are empowered. That's what He has given us. We are not to live in fear. We are to love ourselves and love each other. And we can do it. If we look at the excuses, we can stay there. But let's get out of the excuses and get into the place of action. That's what I have as my last word.
Christine Quine. Christine, when I told you that I have a calabash of palm wine from Bali, I meant it. It's good wine. Even if you take a glass before going to bed this evening.
Yes, sir.
And to accompany that wine from Bali will be a bowl of corn fufu, vegetable, fresh, just harvested from the riverside, and some dried fish. You ready for this?
I'm very ready. I'm
All
actually
right.
hungry.
All right, let's go. You have it. This is from Bali.
Johnny, yeah. Girl, you know, say love. No delay, girl, I want to marry you. Girl, you know, say love. My chérie, oh, tu es ma vie, oh, you make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, oh, yeah, you make my heart beat. Oh, tu sais que je t'aime, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Baby girl, no worry, say now you be a woman. You are closer to my heart, the dick is so far away. Fine girl, my baby smarter. Yeah. Pretty girl, I want your mother. Cherry to a man, to actually, the family magala. Je t'aime beaucoup, cherry to a man, to actually, the family magala. Oh girl, I love you. Girl, you know, say I love you. No delay, girl, I want to marry you. Girl, you know, say I love you. My shitty, oh, tu es ma vie, you make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, you make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, ne plaît pas mon amour, baby, baby, baby. Qu'est-ce que tu veux, je vais te donner, je rentre heureux. Love is corresponding, always responding. We are in the body, yeah. Chérie, tu es belle, tu es jolie, la femme de ma colère. Je t'aime beaucoup, oh. Chérie, tu es belle, tu es jolie, oh, la femme de ma colère. Oh girl, I love you, oh. You make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, oh. You make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, oh. Tu sais que je t'aime, oh. Je ne laisse pas chérie, oh. Yeah. Oh. Baby, wait for me. I will call for you. I'm gonna take you far away. Baby, wait for me, oh. I will show you love. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. You know, say I love you. Girl, I want to marry you. Girl, you know, say I love you. My shitty, oh. Tu es ma vie, you make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, you make my heart beat. Tu sais que je t'aime, baby, I got you.
Okay. Here is what Lady Mercy Forjay says, Christine, you rock. That's for you, Christine. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Mercy.
It was truly my joy, my delight receiving you at Chat Night. By the way, this is not the last time you're coming. Do you commit to come back when I invite you? Sorry,
No
I put you on the spot.
excuses. No excuses.
I knew you say that, Christine. I knew you will say that. Yes.
Sorry, Divide, can you also on your platform continue to promote or encourage those who have made it to also be mentors? Most of the times people are afraid to go ask for help. Well, those who have made it can also open doors to be mentors to the ones who are still struggling.
Well
So we
noted.
should, yeah.
Well noted. Here is what Dr. Colette Ngante says. I'm going to put her comment on. Thank you, Dr. Colette Ngante. Thank you. I appreciate you. I remember you came here and talked about mental health. You will still be coming back. Now, Christine, just give one word, just one word of inspiration, of encouragement to someone, that woman who is in a difficult relationship, that gentleman who is going through it's like his walls are collapsing around him. Say something to these people before I let you go.
Well, what I can say or what I want to say is there is nothing that you are going through that I haven't gone through or the next person hasn't gone through. You're not alone. And once you know that, it is easier to absorb, and not absorb to keep, but absorb to find a solution. There is no problem that cannot be resolved. If you are a Christian, if you are a Muslim, of whatever faith you're of, go to your God. go to your God and seek solace. But more so, go to yourself and find love. Half of the time, we cannot give what we don't have. We must begin to not see our problems as monsters and to speak to our mountains to come down and to disappear into the sea. I believe that you have family, you have friends, and that they can help you also to just remind you that they love you, but really more so, it is all you. It has to come from you. You are lovable. You are a gem. You can make it through all. When I speak as a Christian, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And his joy will strengthen you. And from that strength, he will also give you the solution to your problem. You are not alone. The world has not come to an end.
Somebody's already asking, Christine, how can one follow you? In other words, if you want to read about you, follow your ideas, just tap from your wisdom. How can they reach you? I know you can reach Christine through Chat Night. That's one way to reach Christine, but she's here.
Yeah.
People admire you a lot.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't use Instagram, but excuses. I'm stopping excuses. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start using Instagram and all that stuff. But I'm in Maryland. I'm on Facebook. I'm a very open person. I'm not. I don't have restrictions. So if you want to reach me, please just let me know, and I give what I can, what I have. I share with you what I have. I'm also the national president of Lesser USA, the best group in the whole wide world. So you can reach me through Lesser USA too. Yeah, or you, of course, Chat Nights Africa.
Chat Nights. Now we're active on Instagram, Twitters, YouTube. You can search Chat Night. You can Google Chat Night Africa. You can go to YouTube, search Chat Night Africa Live. I want to again thank you. I could thank you, and without ending, keep thanking you. But at some point, we've got to go. You're such an amazing human being, Christian. Thank you.
I am so honored. I am honored for real. I don't know why I haven't been on.
Don't
How
worry.
long have you been on?
2.5 years. You coming back. You coming back, Christian.
No, but I'm honored, and you're doing a great job. And truly, we can't even pay you for what you're doing. And keep doing it. No excuses. You're changing lives, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Christine. And before I go, give my regards to your very, very loving mom.
I will.
Tell her this. I'm going to call and check to make sure that, look, listen, I trust you, but Reagan said trust, but always verify. All right.
Wait, could you, before you go, Divine, let me let the world know this, we are family. And Divine is calling me after 2.5 years. His uncle was my mom's junior sister's husband. So we are family, but he is one of the most loving, kind. His word is his word. Hardworking, determined, and I am so honored to be your sister, Divine. May the world know you.
Thank you. We come here because we believe that we can each do something where we are with what we have to create the kind of world we would like to see. Thank you again. That has been Christine Quine. And that has been Chat Night Africa. Thank you, Christine.
Coming to get down. I'm coming to dance, We're gonna dance.
Chat Night Africa from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Gonna get
On Chat Night Africa today,
party.
production supervisor Dr. B. Tatzong Famundam.
And when we change,
Transmission director Mumba Lingua.
it's all right here. It's dynamite.
Studio director Beatrice Famunen.
I'm coming back.
This has been Chat
I'm
Night,
coming back.
the power of Chat Night. Please go ahead and share this powerful broadcast.
We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna dance.
Chat Night Africa live from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
We're gonna dance.
Production advisors, assistants.
I'm coming.
We have Emmanuel Wayindi, John Tanto, and Lord Benson at Foncha Street, Bamenda.
I'm coming. I'm dancing.
Chat Night Africa is compiled and presented
We're gonna dance.
by Divine Chamukong with special assistance
We're gonna party.
from Daniel Eno.
We're gonna dance.
Merci à tout le monde. See you next time for yet another vivacious broadcast. My guest this evening has been Christine Quine.
I'm ready to get down.
Goodbye. Have a wonderful week.
I'm coming. I'm dancing. I'm dancing. I'm ready. I'm coming.